So, you've poured countless hours into building an incredible VBA tool in Microsoft Office. Maybe it's a complex financial model or a slick automation script. You locked it with a password and figured your intellectual property was safe, right? Think again. That standard VBA protection is an illusion. Your source code is actually still sitting right there in plain text, just waiting to be cracked by tools anyone can find online. That's where VBA Padlock comes in. We're not talking about a better password, we're talking about true compilation. VBA Padlock takes your readable VBA code and transforms it into lightning-fast, secure machine code. It moves your logic out of the Office file entirely and into a secure, encrypted DLL file. The result? There is literally zero source code left in your document to steal or reverse engineer. Your IP becomes a digital fortress. And the best part? The process is surprisingly simple. You just paste your sensitive code into the VBA Padlock Studio, click Compile, and it automatically builds a secure bridge back to your Excel file. But VBA Padlock goes way beyond just security. It turns you from a macro developer into a genuine software distributor. You can offer free trials, generate hardware-locked license keys to stop piracy dead in its tracks, and package it all up into a professional Windows installer. Your code is finally secure and ready for business. In this tutorial, we're going to walk through exactly how to set all of this up, step by step. Let's dive in. We'll start by opening the source Excel file. As you can see, there is a formula. There is also a button that runs a macro and displays "Hello." To view the source content, we first open Options. Then we enable the Developer tab. We can now access the Visual Basic Editor. Here we can see our formula. We'll start with a simple example, but more complex formulas can be protected in the same way. This is the code we'll protect in this demo by compiling it with VBA Padlock. We'll start by launching VBA Padlock. From here, we can open the Excel file we want to process, either by drag and drop, or by using this button. The file is now open. If the workbook is not already open in Excel, you can open it at any time from here. Next, we enter the project information. We provide a title and a description. We also define the copyright for the generated files. This value is entered in Publish, under Final DLL. In most cases, this is simply the company name. Now let's look at the code. On the left, the Project Explorer lists the VBA scripts. Most projects use a single script, but you can add more if needed. We open the main script. This is where we paste the code to compile. The process is simple. We copy the VBA code from Excel and paste it here. To verify compilation, we use this button. It is also available here as a shortcut. Let's run it. The compilation completed successfully. Let's look at the generated files. In Project Build, we open the target folder. Here is the Excel file. And here is the bin folder. Let's open it. These files were generated automatically by VBA Padlock. They are the application extensions loaded by Excel. Your original VBA code is no longer stored as plain text. It has been converted into protected bytecode, so the code is fully protected. Next, we'll see how to link these extensions to the workbook. Back in VBA Padlock, we will now add the necessary code to invoke and link our application extensions. To do this, go back to your Office file. If it is not already open, you can reopen it using the shortcut I showed earlier. Here, we open the Visual Basic Editor. We will add a new module that will contain the code required to create the link. This is very simple. In VBA Padlock, go to Create VBA Bridge. You can see that the code is generated automatically. There is nothing to configure, everything is fully automated. All we need to do now is transfer this code into our Excel file. You can do this manually using the available tools. Or you can use the option Inject directly into Office. Before transferring the code, a quick word about the VBA Bridge. The VBA Bridge is the link between your VBA project and the secured DLL. It allows us to define functions that we can call directly from our own VBA code to add functionality. In particular, the most important function is this one. This function named VBA_execute executes the compiled and secured code. We won't cover the other functions in this tutorial, but keep in mind that many additional functions are available. Now, let's inject the bridge. As you can see, we receive a confirmation message and a reminder to save the document. Here we have exactly the same content inserted automatically. There is nothing to modify, we just need to save. The link is now established. We can call the protected functions directly from our code. Let's do a quick demonstration. You may remember that we previously compiled the sub called myProtectedSub. We are now going to test it by invoking it directly. To do this, we open the immediate window, which allows us to execute code directly for testing purposes. Since the bridge is linked and the code is functional, we simply enter the command here. The function requires the identifier of the protected function to call. We select this one. Let's run the test by pressing enter. And as you can see, it works perfectly. The expected message box is shown. More importantly, the code that was executed does not exist inside the Excel file. It exists only as secure bytecode compiled by VBA Padlock. That concludes the bridge demonstration. In the final part, we will focus on fully protecting the original VBA code of that Excel file. We will now place this code into the compiler. First, select the code and copy it. Then paste it into the compiler, in the main script. Now let's compile and see what happens. As expected, an error is detected, but do not worry, this is completely normal. The reason is that VBA Padlock does not recognize the range object. This is normal because that object only exists inside Excel. So we must indicate to VBA Padlock that this object belongs to Excel. For that purpose, VBA Padlock provides a dedicated generic object called application. Whenever you use an Office object such as a workbook, a database, or a slideshow, you can reference it through the application object. Once we add application followed by a dot, the compiler understands that the range object belongs to the Excel app. For more details, you can consult the documentation which explains exactly how this works. The code now compiles successfully and is ready to use. No need to restart Excel. The changes are applied immediately, yes, immediately. This is what we call hot reloading, and VBA Padlock fully supports it. Fast compilation, fast loading. Next, we'll remove the original code from the Excel file because it has now been protected. Instead, we will replace it with calls to the secured functions. Doing this manually can be tedious, so VBA Padlock provides a tool to generate the wrapper code automatically. Here we open the wrapper code generator. We can see the functions we previously inserted. We simply select them and the code to copy is generated automatically. Let's copy this generated code. We no longer need the previous code, so we paste the new code in its place. Now let's verify that everything works. We can now run the protected macro say hello directly using the run button. The function VBA PL execute calls the compiled code say hello in the main script, which you can see here. According to this script, cell A5 should now contain the value hello from VBA, and as you can see, the result is correct. The code is now secure because Excel calls the compiled code stored inside the DLL. We save the workbook. The work is now complete, but we still have one more step to complete. To finalize the project, click Publish Final DLL. This step disables the hot loading feature and generates the final version of the DLL files. Everything is now ready for distribution. So now I'm going to show you how to distribute your Excel file, protected like this, to your users. Click Distribute. You have several options to distribute your Excel file. You can copy it to a directory, or create a zip file. Before we proceed, let's take another look at which files we actually need to distribute. Open the target folder. In the target folder, we have our modified Excel file which no longer contains the original VBA code. And in the bin directory we have the 3 DLL files that contain the compiled and secured code. These are the elements that must be distributed. By the way, you can even lock your VBA project if you want. For the demonstration, let's do it. Let's create a zip archive. We choose where to create the zip file, and it's generated automatically. We can open it and verify that the Excel file and the required DLL files are included. Great, it worked as expected. Now let's extract the archive somewhere else, as if we were a customer, and run a quick test. We open the Excel file. The macro runs exactly as expected. However, if we try to open the Visual Basic editor, we can see that the project is now locked. Your project is now secure and your VBA code is protected. You can safely distribute your Excel file.